What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another legendary episode of the Deconstructing Topic Podcast. My name is David, and I'm your host of this legendary podcast. And once again, we have a good one. And I'm sorry for a little bit of coughing. I tend to hit up the film a little bit early, and when I hit the gym a little early, like super early, I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, whew, you know what I mean? And I was like, you know what? Let me do a little nice podcast on the go. You already know it's October. Oh, let's get it. For those people out there, what's the season in this? Season of what? The people out there that are into the signs and all that good stuff. I mean, maybe I'm gonna have to search it, but it's a season of a season. You know what I mean? But we make it happen once again, and we got a little interesting. My thoughts on a couple of situations that happened here in New York City in regards to the Sean, Puffy, Diddy, Combs, whatever you want to call it, and our beloved Mayor Eric Adams. You know, so just my little 2 cents, my little couple of thoughts out there in regards to those situations. But because you're listening to this podcast, feel free to share, comment, and all that good stuff. We making it happen every day, 24/7, feeling legendary. Let's make it happen. And hey, listen, my opinion and the things that I observe is just on me. And the situation with Diddy is like, wow, one cannot start. I'm pretty sure that people out there are getting their consumption going on because there's always something going on a weekly ever since his arrest a couple of weeks ago. There's always something going on in regards to him. Either someone is saying something, someone is saying something. And wow, what can I say? What can I say in regards to that situation? It's one of those things where, on a personal level, I always tell people, people that are around me, on a personal level, I always kind of heard these stories in regards to Diddy from a couple of people that kind of were inspired rappers or whatever the case might be, who might have gone to a studio or two and been around the situation. And, you always hear like those individuals, they always hear it from somebody else or who heard it from somebody else. And you kind of question, hey, listen, the source of the situation. But again, it's one of those things. What I always say in life is that when there's it was that old saying, when there's smoke, there's fire. And people, even for the last maybe 15 years ago, you hear something, you hear this and you hear that. And then now, because of the YouTube and all these platforms that we have, people just go out there and then just start talking about, hey, this and that, and hey, at the end of the day, it looks like there's people might have been right all along in regards to that, whether you agree or not, in regards to Diddy and those situations and whatever crazy thing that he dealt with. So what does that mean in regards to the situation now that he's arrested? I guess you could start to think that in a sense that it's going to be the downfall of something. A couple of years ago, we had the Jeffrey Epstein situation, the Harvey Weinstein. You would have thought that maybe that will be the beginning, but obviously people already know what happened with Epstein, and with Harvey, that's a whole different story. And these are figures and people, especially Harvey had the company, make films or whatever. Epstein, financier, and then with Diddy, you already know it's a rap mogul or the music mogul. Let's just put it that way, or mogul in general. He has a little bit of his hands on a little bit of everything, and you would have thought that these individuals would be the beginning of something, but sadly, it wasn't. With Diddy, can this be the beginning of something where we kind of have said and call out the music industry, whether it's the music, whether it's Hollywood, and sometimes you hear a lot of names of a lot of artists that have been involved, and the question can be, man, are we ready to know who's who? I mean, hey, listen, I know a lot of people out there, let's say, who love Michael Jackson, with the allegations back then, long time ago. People just kind of doubted what the story was behind what happened with Michael Jackson and the situation with the kids and whatnot. And with Diddy, and let's just say that Diddy decides, hey, listen, let me tell a story. Here's the name. Here's a who's who. My understanding is that there's somebody that's supposed to be bigger than Diddy involved in it. If he decides to, hey, my question is for those people who are fan of those individuals, you know, are you gonna take Diddy's story with a grain of salt? At the end of the day, my understanding is that a lot of a lot of information that he has or the FBI has on him is because they have information. Like they're just not, creating a thing there. And I done heard it all where people's like where some believe that, he's taking the downfall for something bigger. I could see that. Absolutely. It's always been like that in life, whether it's the Roman Catholic Church, whether it's the Christian church in itself, with the pastors, whether it's the Boy Scout, the Harvey Weinstein situation with the actresses had to do dirty stuff in order to get roles and move on to Hollywood. Politics, there's some stories out there in politics. There's always something more sinister behind something. And that's where I could understand why there are people that might say, hey, did he just taking one for the team? It could be. I personally think that yes, he's not the head of the of the table in terms of and I don't want to use the head of the table, but into this sinister world, whatever happened, everything started with the Cassie Ventura, his former wife, who sued. There was a videotape out there that you could see the hotel that he's caking and all that, and that basically opened up Pandora's box. And then you had a couple of people, his former bodyguard, his former assistants. You have people, Cat Williams. You already know that the famous Cat Williams interview with Shannon Sharp, where hey, listen, eventually life will catch up to you. And sometimes there's always that thought and that thing that there's somebody out there ready just to push a button. Hey, listen, if the kitchen, how you said it, if it if the heat is going on in the kitchen, whatever, just get out of the kitchen, something to that effect. So they just say, if I was the mastermind of all this crazy stuff that's going on in Hollywood and music and all this, and if I start to feel like they're getting close, the feds, whoever, newspapers out there, some independent journalists who's unlocking the puzzle, if they're getting close, obviously my reaction would be, let me press this button. Someone has to take the floor. And that's what I can understand. Those people that with Diddy, there's names out there, Clap Davis, and I'm not sure if I mean, how can I say? I don't know. I'm not sure if that would be a name that I would be like, oh wow. But who knows? Who knows? That's like the door into to something more sinister. And you see, you hear the internet. The internet's undefeated for some reason. There's a lot of people out there, and people's like, oh, be careful with Diddy. We don't want the same thing with Epstein. Supposedly, self-deleted, allegedly. A lot of people kind of believe, hey, listen, there was an Epstein list about who's who. About who's who. I think the list is supposed to be out there. His ex-girlfriend, Maxine Giller, is doing time. 20 years, I believe. So, yeah, there's definitely some sinister out there. And let's just hope for the sake that, let's say, in this world, in this country, we have good people that are still after the law that decided, hey, listen, because there's a lot of victims in those situations. The man and woman, from what I hear, people who were abused, people who live life in fear that, hey, I took part of this. I mean, in exchange, I'm giving up my privacy, my livelihood, you know. And the way I see it is that, yes, there is something more sinister. I don't think that Diddy is the main protagonist on this situation. But if he's willing to talk the who's who, I just hope that people are ready. Whoever's your favorite artist, whoever's your favorite, how can I say, idol, whatever it is, in the sports industry, movie industry, whatever industry, oh, get ready. Get ready. And this is why I always go back to people is that do not, and try your best not to allies people. Can it be politicians involved? Absolutely. probably thinking that it's a politician or two that's out there. Obviously, Diddy's from New York City. He made his fame in New York City. Epstein as well. People always attach the Trumps and all that, but let's just put it this way. It's like in New York, there's a New York cartel when it comes to that. In Chicago, I keep hearing, Oprah and Tyler Perry and all those people. And the West Coast, well, when you got the West Coast, Hollywood, basically. That's all you need. In the South, you know, the South is the South. But a lot of if you look at these things, these cabals that are in this country, in this world, they mainly exist in New York City, Chicago, and Los Angeles. You know, you already know New York City. Hey, listen, the capital of the world, right? Wall Street. That's where the money's at. That's why I see that some of these people just come in New York City and then they just start to do the dirty, whatever the dirt here, make their money here. And then they start living in other places, whether it's Florida, you know, Cali, outside of LA. So it's gonna be definitely interesting. So that's my take on that situation. It's gonna be more sinister. Hopefully, we'll get this ball rolling and lock up some couple of peoples. Let's make it happen. So with that said, we are in a New York City kind of mode because Diddy is arrested in Brooklyn, that federal prison out there that it says, hell, we got Mayor Eric Adams. And what can I say? My thing with Eric Adams and the administration that's under him, how he became mayor, whatever the case might be. I always tell people, hey, listen, Eric Adams at one time was the bodyguard of Sharpton. Now some people be like, so what's the point there? What's going on? Sometimes people like Al Sharpton, they charlatans. They have made money and their fame off the backs of misery in terms of people, let's say Sean Bell, those individuals that died off the hands of cops, unarmed, young black men. And sadly, there's been, a couple of stories where there's people who are not fan of Al Sharpton, regardless of their, but, he brings this notoriety, he brings this name in there, and let's be honest here. If you look at Al Sharpton, he have, once again, made his money being a charlatan, basically. And when you got people like Eric Adams being his bodyguard for a long time, or back in the days, you already know, you already got the seeds of what's coming. And that's New York City to you. See, New York City, it's funny because, I mean, I'm in New York City. I love New York City, but New York City is it's Hollywood, but on the East Coast, but with more, how can I say, the suits. You know what I mean? You got the suits and the ties, basically. And yeah, that's basically New York City to you. So, you got a lot of dirt going on, a lot of people in his administration, whether it has resigned. You got the former police commissioner, Eric Caban from Puerto Rico, all Puerto Rican, resigned. I mean, and again, that's what I always say when it comes to that. And I always remember it was Malcolm X who once said, the more black the leaders are, the more corrupted they become. And who pays the price? The black community. When I say the black community, we're talking about blacks, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, Dominicans, my Latin peoples, Latinx. Because the more black leaders we have, the more poor we become. Think about it. And that's what I'm always suspicious with the people like the Ocasio-Cortez and certain black leaders that are there that they already get publicity because they're the America has always had, they always have this thing where they create people to act like you, to look like you, to, claim that they're fighting for your behalf, but they're not. They're not. I always say in New York City, man, keep in mind, New York City is 90% Democrats, right? Understanding, yes, it's a little bit difficult to run on an independent or even on a third party. But the fact is that when Democrats run, they talking about, like the AOCs of the world. If she represents my district, she's talking about we fighting for justice, we fight for this cause, we fighting for this. And again, and I always say to myself, okay, you're fighting against who? The other Democrats? Come on, man. You're gonna try to play me like a fool here, and then unfortunately, people out of our voters, they fall into that trap because at the end of the day, whenever they run, again, 90% Democrats in New York City. There's a couple of Republicans bastions out there in terms of Long Island, Staten Island. But so who the AOCs of the world, the Richie Torres, all these people, who are they fighting against? Can't be the Republicans, because again, 90%, whatever, 85 to 90% Democrats, New York City. So when it comes to people like Eric Adams, they come up and you could tell there's people who were not fan of him. Hey, listen, this guy is corrupted. But because he runs on a D, he runs on a party that's 90%, you could just put anybody in front of you and you'd be like, oh, he's the mayor. Because he's a Democrat and he's fighting for your your cause, or he's fighting for whatever justice of whatever. I'm like, don't fight. You can fight whatever. Don't fight the Justice League. Hey, listen, because I know Batman, Superman will kick your butt. And I don't think, people are thinking about resigning. Again, these are the federal indictments of what happened. We need to see what happens. Is his campaign will take a hit? Absolutely. Next year is the mayoral elections in New York City in 2025. His campaign will take a hit, absolutely. The only thing that I'm going to say is that he does have donors. He does have people with big pockets. Again, this is a guy that comes from the Sharpton crew. And Sharpton, you could tell Sharpton, this guy live in the nice areas. This guy, my understanding, somebody told me 20 years ago, I was in a former job where they say Sharpton has living quarters in one of the Trump towers. Mm-hmm. See how that works? So that's New York City to you. That's my little 2 cents when it comes to the Diddy, when it comes to the Eric Adams situation. Again, New York City is in a scope. We are 1 month away from the presidential elections. Yeah, you're right. 1 month, just about 30-something days. Ooh, man, knock on wood. Hopefully nothing crazy happens from here then. That's crazy. But let's see what happens. All right, everybody, let's make it happen. Once again, feel free to like, comment, talk to me. Feel free to share. Yeah, my opinion and the way I think. And I like to educate you guys and inform you guys. And I'm going to make sure that you don't go on a college debt or on a debt or educational debt because you're listening to me. Listen to the Deconstructing Topic Podcast. And I'm out of here. Much love. Peace.